Right on. Sorry, John, you froze
awesome.
just a little bit. Do you mind repeating that one more time?
Yeah, sure. So, Secret of Kells is independent Irish animation, and it is.
Oh no.
Have I frozen?
Yes, Tag Nabbit. This is going to be pretty wild. All right. Last time, if you don't mind, I could get a reaction from us after and fill it in the podcast.
Let's have a go.
From the top, John. Take 3.
So, yes.
Oh boy.
This is
So
all
Secret
accidental. We're not trying to troll you or anything. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Seriously, I know. I'm so sorry. Yeah. This is not at your expense by any means.
Yeah, so Secret of Kells is independent Irish animation. Have I frozen again?
It did. Yes. It's okay. It's all right. We
Keep
can
it going,
moving.
John.
The Joystick Show.
Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Joystick Show, a podcast where 3 friends from high school in Hawaii get together to chat about the latest things we've watched, read, and played. Tonight, we have somebody very special here, coming all the way from the UK. It's very early in the morning, which we appreciate so much him being here. He has got an exciting new project that we can't wait to talk about in the animation space. John Lumgair, thank you for being here with me, Thomas, Drake, and Scott.
What's up?
Was it?
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, John. All right, so let's just kick right into it. If you could live in any animated world, what would it be and why? And I feel like we kind of know the answer, but if you wouldn't mind telling us again, I really appreciate it.
I might tell a different answer this time.
Ooh,
Okay. Ooh, I like it.
I like it. Keep us on our toes.
Dangerous.
I'll throw a wild card. So, have you seen the film Belleville Rendezvous? It's a French animation.
No, I haven't.
I've heard of it though. Oh my god, I haven't
It's-
seen it.
Don't
That's-
act like
it's
you've
called
heard of
Triplets
it.
of Belleville as well. It has another title, and it's in
Oh.
this kind of slightly crazy Paris.
Oh,
Okay.
black and white
So-
flick.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
Right on. Okay.
So
What
it's-
is it about that makes you want to live in that world?
I think it's just very exaggerated, and it's so beautifully drawn. We were talking about Miyazaki earlier, and that's again the same kind of richness of world that you're walking down the road and you want to go down one of the streets, see what's happening.
Right,
It's
right.
that kind of feel. I think that's quite exciting.
Oh man. Yeah, okay, that sounds fantastic. The earlier one before we started recording, you said it was something of Kells?
Secrets of Kells.
Secrets of Kells, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that's where the kind of world of myth and the world of kind of not myth kind of merged together. That's quite interesting. And so
Sense.
you've got these characters in a monastery, and then outside of the monastery, it's a little bit fuzzy of what's what. And that's kind of that's really interesting.
That is interesting. I almost want to jump to this question because we had something kind of planned out, but I want to kind of jump maybe to that question where, Drake, you were saying make a case.
Oh yes. Well, now we're seeing a lot of like, for example, like animes turning from strictly animation into live action. But could you make a case for which is better, live action or animation?
There's a reason that people created those animes as animes and not live action. And so I would generally favor the anime. There may be reasons that technology's improved. I mean, none of the live actions are purely live action anyway. They are still using animation.
Right.
But I always tend to favor the original and something that's involved more people drawing.
There you go.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. Most like big scale movies these days, like anybody who's worked in a Marvel movie recently is like, I just looked at a green screen or was in a green room for 2 months. And to use Dakota Johnson's words, like I wanted to jump off a building. So, like, yeah, it might as well be animated at that point, no doubt. Yeah, Scott, you got something?
Yeah. Okay, so I know you mentioned like two very cool animated worlds that you would um you know live in if you could. So are there any other like shows, movies, maybe even video games you like tend to enjoy when you're not working on your films and whatnot? Is there things you like to just like dive into, lose yourself in?
Um, so there's not the same things I keep coming back to. I mean, I know I go to The Simpsons a lot,
Mm.
Classic.
Good.
Matt Groening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which yeah is always fun. Tom and Jerry quite a lot actually.
Interesting.
Nice.
And but yeah, literally today just finished watching um a, a series called Kaleidoscope, which isn't an anime, it's a live action heist series, which is
Yeah. Where it was almost
was
pick your own
really
adventure.
yeah, it's really good.
Nice. And I know, I think it has like Giancarlo Esposito in it. And
Oh yeah.
when that movie came out on Netflix, it was like there was all these different watch orders you could do. Like you could do it, in order, or you could do it like there's like a color system to it too, right?
Mm.
Okay, right on. What do you like about The Simpsons and then Tom and Jerry that you think kind of is there elements of those things that you try to bring into your own work?
Yeah. Um
You're
I
like, yeah,
think
duh. But like, okay, so maybe I should
no,
expand.
so the
Like, what out
so
of
there's
those things?
I think The Simpsons is because it's really big-hearted. Actually, it's strangely it it kind of pretends it's edgy, but actually it's really warm-hearted and a very positive show. And it's is particularly the first few seasons, it's gag after gag after gag after gag, and they are just it's so well written. And so I think it's the layering of just the cultural referencing. It's just really, really good.
Yeah,
Um, Tom and Jerry, it's comic timing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just and the inventiveness of you hit someone over the head with
frying
cheese
pan.
grater or something. Yeah, exactly.
Right, right.
That's a clear
Yeah,
example of that can only be done in
Yeah.
animated.
Slapstick.
Even when they merge that into live action, Tom and Jerry have to be animated.
Mm,
Like it can't work any other way.
yeah.
exactly.
And I'd even argue like now when you see it in live action, when you see the people's movements or their actions based on that, it's all exaggerated like Tom and Jerry.
Mm.
Like the dizziness. I mean, I feel like Jim Carrey, I think he has said that is one of his influences, but yeah, it just that works so much better, I think, still in animation. And
Mm,
even when you try to do it in live action, it's trying to copy the animation.
Mhm.
yeah.
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 For
So,
sure.
anyways, that's my horse.
It doesn't date either. It's interesting because it's what 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah, people watch it today and it doesn't. But how many of those things are watched as frequently from that era?
Mm.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
true.
there's certain, I mean, in the shows that we still talk about, and this wasn't from the 50s, I don't think, but it's like your I Love Lucy's or I Dream of Jeannie and that kind of stuff. They're classics for a reason. The stories, I think we were talking about how big-hearted The Simpsons is. A lot of it fundamentally is like this family of people who drive each other nuts and yet at the same time all have to coexist, and like the town and how they affect the town and vice versa. And I think it still goes with some of those other shows too, right? Your I Dream of Jeannie or I Love Lucy or that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
yeah, you're so right about that. Man, I did not think I'd be getting deep about The Simpsons tonight, but here we are. So, all right. I'll go for a drink.
Oh yeah, no, John, I wanted to ask, with things like Beavis and Butthead and Mike Judge, and even with Trey and Matt Parker with South Park, those types of animations, especially kind of, being satirical about life in general. What are your thoughts on animation being used as that sort of medium?
Well, I think it's brilliant for satire. I think um, the South Park guys are genius, partly because they churn them out so quickly, so they're up to date, and they attack everybody. So it's almost like with all the kind of culture war battles going on, they've just been attacking both sides for so long. I mean, and they're still there, and I'm like, good on them.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Longevity.
Well, they carved
Yeah.
off this like space of safety somehow because I mean, if I had to just throw my 2 cents in there, it's because they do attack everybody so equally. Like anybody can get the smoke, to use the young kid term, right? It's like that they kind of are fair, is like, well, yeah, if, in terms of like American politics, it's like if they go for something on the left, then they equally go for something on the right.
Yes.
And then vice versa, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, well, everybody's equally getting teased here.
Yeah.
And it even, I mean, with South Park, I've seen like disability jokes or gay and trans jokes or straight jokes. I mean, it just kind of covers the gamut. And I do appreciate that because I think now I consider myself a part of the disability community. There's still funny things that happen within that community. And it needs to be highlighted and it still should be allowed to laugh at. And yeah. So sorry, I don't know why it's becoming mostly my opinion.
No, I agree with all the words you said then. So
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Oh, I'll just keep talking then. No, yeah.
Animation is like very disarming. I think when you're trying to do satire with people, it has to be very specific. And I think because you're using human actors, all that stuff, it can kind of be less easy to just push things, especially because when you're animating things, you can be a little bit more free, if that makes sense. It's a great medium.
And I think it kind of, at least to me, like with the way it's animated and the way they look, it's like it's silly, like in itself. So when they start taking on like these giant point of views and like being really ridiculous, and most of the time it's like the kids aspect, like their point of view too, and you're just like, this show's so bananas, I can't take it seriously. So you can only laugh at it, and it's been around for so long now. Like I'm sure everyone's grown up with it at this point, right? So it's like there hasn't been an episode. I'm sure someone could point out one episode that they thought was funny, like growing up, out of all the episodes that been. So there's something there to be enjoyed.
Yeah. John, out of that kind of stuff though, what do you think you take away? Because you're about to launch your own cartoon sitcom with Jazz Cow. You've already been working on it. The characters look awesome. What are you taking away from these legacy animation and trying to bring into your new project?
So I feel that a lot of the adult animations around at the moment, which are great, actually, a lot of them are really funny, have become quite nihilistic. And so I think there's going back to slightly bigger hearted, warmer take on things.
Love that.
I, I hope it's funny. I hope it's as funny as all these shows.
Yeah.
I hope it's not partisan, as in it's not getting into any of these kind of
Right.
current things. Yeah, I'd like it to be within that, I guess, some of the more traditional mold in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I like it. It seems like, the example you gave earlier of The Simpsons, like it sounds like that's where you kind of want this show to lie, in that sweet spot. And I actually mean like it's a very sweet spot, like it, emotional and it's heartfelt, and I appreciate you saying about the nihilism and all, because it does seem like a lot of things are doom and gloom or everything's going to the worst. Where I've heard someone recently talk about, again, bringing up the 60s, at this time period, people were talking about world peace and everybody uniting, and where has that idea gone? And it doesn't mean that it has to go away forever. And it also doesn't mean that you're a complete idiot, just that you think everybody can get along. But, there still should be some hope for that. And I appreciate that you are trying to bring that into your own cartoon. Where did you come up with this idea? Where did it all start? Like, do you like jazz? Do you like cows? Well, how are we combining this here?
I've eaten a cow today.
Yeah, I bet he was
Um,
very happy before he ate them.
I do like jazz. The kind of the origin of it was there was a group of us, like you guys actually, good friends, were just laughing and mucking around and having fun.
Yeah.
And we had we had a book of an encyclopedia of cartoon animals, and we were flicking through it and just making stupid remarks. And we noticed there was a pattern to them that they kind of end up with magical powers that enabled them to save the world. And we were like, well, why is it always those kind of powers? So then we ended up with thinking, well, what would happen if it was a cow? And what would happen if his powers were just to play jazz? And it was that kind of contrast of dumb animal and sophisticated music and
I like
those
that.
that odd thing going together. And so we laughed and had a lot of fun with it.
Okay. You hooked me with powers because I'm a giant nerd. I mean, I got Deadpool behind me, like Marvel, everything. Um, what were the powers originally before it became like, what if the powers were just jazz? Was it like, because one of our friends, he was like, we're all hanging out one time and he's like, okay, guys, what if I had the power to fly, but only backwards and really slow, and that kind of stuff. And honestly, one of the superpowers I would say, if I couldn't have something cool, would it be to like always find like a parking spot. I don't know if I came up with it, but I do. I take that as my own now. What did it start off as before? Okay, he plays jazz like I'm trying to think of a good jazz musician again, BB King or something.
So he never had an origin before them. He literally came up as a joke in a conversation. So but we were looking at people like Spider-Man. But there's all if you go through all the cartoon animals, you'll find that there's commonality to half the stories. So it was the contrast to that this joke came out of.
It's great. I know. Is there any other joke like you specifically remember from that time that you're like always? I mean, I'm sure it's coming out in the cartoon, but is there anything else that you're like, this is just too ridiculous to put into the cartoon, but I still laugh at it to this day?
So he originally had udders, which we thought was hilarious. Um, one of the one of the things that was mentioned, I met up with the guys recently, and we were laughing about it. And one of the other things that came up in the conversation was a character called Ape Gnome,
Ape gnome.
who's not not accepted in the ape community or the gnome community, which doesn't make any sense.
Right, right. I didn't know those communities didn't get along. That's man, news
That's
to me.
funny.
Hey, no.
So
Oh my god.
confused. Just want to be
Yeah.
a part of a community.
I just want to be accepted. But yeah, okay. So you guys come up with this idea. Did Dizzy Motion, this is like your production company.
Quirky
Oh,
motion.
sorry, Quirky Motion. I apologize. Was Quirky Motion already in the works, or like had you guys already started that? Had you started? I know you're a founder of it. Like, how does this all work together in your professional sphere?
In a kind of messy, clumsy way. So, um, there's when we did this, we thought, right, we're going to start a production company, and we started a production company called Underdog Animation. And then after a few months, we were like, that's a rubbish name. And then we wanted something a bit more optimistic.
I love it.
And we ended up coming up with the name Quirky Motion, traded under it, and then um, later on properly founded a company with other people that the proper name was Quirky Motion. But we all get on. We haven't fallen out or anything. So yeah,
Nice.
it's a little bit of a convoluted story, really.
Yeah, yeah, but hey, it's brought you to where you were. You're juggling so many things. It seems like between the launching of Jazz Cow and Quirky Motion, what projects are you equally splitting the time between these?
It's ebbs and flows. So, um, I've been working on a project for an engineering company most of the day today, and then I've been sending emails about Jazz Cow um, during a chunk of the day. Tomorrow, I won't do any work on Jazz Cow probably, but then later in the week, I hopefully have created a bit more time and then spend a big chunk on it. So it's juggling it. Um, when I've got work, I want to take it because that pays the rent. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but
It also
yeah,
just must be nice to just say, yeah, I'm working on Jazz Cow. Like that's just a fun thing to say. And
yeah.
yeah, I can imagine, yeah, that has been it seems like that's more of like your man, was I gonna say love child? Does that make sense? Is that right? Is that the right term here? I don't know.
You
I
can't.
It's
just
the
I
funniest.
You can love a
labor of
child, but you
love,
can't
labor
make
of
love to a
love.
child. Yeah,
Don't yeah, 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 yeah.
Child.
Don't switch the order of those words.
Oh yeah, sorry, sorry,
Yeah, what are
sorry.
you doing here?
It's a bassoon, you buffoon.
Yeah, Drake, did you have the next question?
Yes. So, John, in talking about all these projects that you've helped create, do you have one that you love the most? I mean, obviously, Jazz Cow's your love child that we just talked about.
God dang it.
Obviously.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's gonna live on in the internet.
But is there one that like stands out as like this was the either a project that was a catalyst or maybe a project that you just have the most endearment towards, etc.?
Of things that are out there in the world, because there are lots of things that exist on hard drives that people haven't seen.
Ruh-roh.
Um, but of stuff that exists in the world, um, probably it was probably the Jesus Storybook Bible clip
Oh.
that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What about it drives you or has that place in your heart?
I think it's because it feels very complete. I think the animation is well done. The the music is good. Like the whole thing is just a good complete whole.
Yeah. One thing I want to shout out in that, I loved the sound effects because it's very much focused on the feet and the squishing noise in the street. How did you have to get that? How did you get that? I mean, yeah, just tell me about the foot sounds.
So we've built up over years libraries of audio. And so there's various things we've bought and came with software. So we've got, and actually it's my brother who I work with who probably did most of that, if not almost certainly did it. And so he did a lot of the sound design and would have mixed all these different things. And I certainly did the first pass of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just done really, really well on YouTube. And yeah, I think it just is a complete story, as you were saying. I mean, it really is really nice. The animation's cool. What have what have you learned, I guess, in animation over these years that you're trying to bring I want to say this, I guess, because Jazz Cat has like a very interesting and cool unique look, and it looks fun, but it's vibrant, but the art is very unique. Like it kind of reminds me, and I don't hopefully this isn't an insult, but of this cartoon Invader Zim. There's like these angles to it, but it's still playful, but it's more bright. I don't know, how did you guys settle, I guess, on that animation?
So the design, there's a lot of factors going into design where jazz is associated with noir and thinking, well, what's noir look like in color? And so it's really making the brightnesses pop. So there was that element. There's lots of the kind of slightly jaunty kind of block shapes influenced by a lot of the Blue Note album covers. So there's kind of that visual influence. There's sometimes there'll be little things drawn onto things, which you get in a lot of the kind of 1950s illustrators that were some of them doing album covers of jazz stuff. So the kind of different colors. There's um so in the 1920s there was a uh movement of African American artists called the Harlem Renaissance, and there was a one of them who's Douglas something, whose name's escaped me, but he did a lot of things with the kind of use of color. So the translucent kind of effects. So that's an influence. There's probably loads of other influences. Oh yeah, there's also the old Warner Brothers backgrounds. That's been a big influence.
Yeah.
It all gets kind of thrown in the pot.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely could see all of it. It's cool. I really, really dig this. It, yeah, it just looks so fun, and the premise is awesome. You have this, threat, the Doctor Pop. I feel like maybe there's some things you wanted to say about real life, maybe, artisanal bankers, street vendors, fringe theater. He's trying to buy it all up. Where does the villain come from? Where's the inspiration for that, and how'd you come up with that?
Uh, so Tony Blair was one of the original inspirations.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
we've
very
lost
cool.
someone.
Oh, it's all right.
Is
We
he
don't need him.
is he
No.
a fan of Blair and
Okay.
he was so offended that
Yeah,
I
yeah. He was like, "Oh
He's
my
a
gosh,
huge
I'm
Tony
out of
Blair
here."
fan.
No, it's pretty hard to offend that guy. His
Yeah.
internet is just wanted to quit.
um so it's but really it's kind of Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates,
Mhm.
George Jeff Bezos, George Jeff Bezos, all these kind
Jeff
of
Bezos.
guys. It's
Yeah.
that um kind of people that are trying to make the world a better place, but they are doing so through um making decisions for other people.
Mm.
Right, right. Or not letting people have decisions or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. Yeah, I stand by
yeah.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They want a safer, they want a more convenient, they want a cleaner world, they want everything to be cheaper and better. Um, but at what expense? And that's you know, who wouldn't want a cheaper, better, more convenient world? Well, Jazz Cow doesn't.
Yeah. I like and Jazz Cow's friends, right?
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the whole cast that you have here, it looks incredible. So where are people going to be able to watch this, check it all out?
So
yeah.
for this to happen, we need to raise the money on
Mhm.
Kickstarter. And so there's currently not the page up. I don't know how early you need to get that up. Like, uh, um, but um, yeah, I don't know how. Oh, my brain is just.
That's all
Can't
right.
get my words out.
3
It's
a.m.
super early in the morning. Yeah. no.
Yep, yep. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know how early you're able to put a page up to start collecting stuff, but we set up a landing page at jazzcow.co.uk, jazzcow.co.uk,
Mm.
and people can sign up there. Got the email address. We'll notify people with updates, and on May the 1st, we're
Mhm.
gonna launch. So it should be on Kickstarter, and then depending on which rewards people get, if people want to, they'll be able to. The one of them will be get the film, and they'll be able to watch it privately. Um, then we're going to take it round kind of streaming services and see if anyone is interested in picking it up as a series. And
I love
so,
it.
and probably do some festivals, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Get
awesome.
that syndication, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we have tons of friends who we've had or guests that have launched Kickstarters. We're gonna connect you with all of them, and if you have any questions there, we'll figure it out. But that
Yeah,
sounds
I'd love that.
oh, we'll definitely have to do that. But that sounds awesome, man. I mean, look at what just happened to. Are you familiar with Hasbin Hotel? It just launched on
No.
Amazon, but I believe that was either like a YouTube project or like some kind of Kickstarter project that Amazon liked so much that they turned into its own series and everything. And I watched the first episode, and it's hilarious. It's pretty wild as well. And with so many things, maybe in Hollywood, maybe becoming similar because it's safe, just the way your outlook is with cartoons and animation and what you want to do with this one. Like, I think we need more of that in just regular pop culture. So, oh my gosh, sign me up. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know if we have too many more questions. Do you guys have anything else before we let John go to bed?
Yeah.
I have one question, kind of not related to what we're saying though, but
Go for it.
do you by chance have a beard filter on?
No, I don't know what it's this. This is not the first time it's done this weird thing.
It's
It
just
looks
giving
cool
your
though. You
beard
got
a
like
beautiful
a beard on
shadow.
a beard.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
it looks like
Like
it's the
that's where
shadow.
my skin is. So it
Yeah.
actually seems to know. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like defining that jawline.
I know. I'm like,
I
he's got a
mean,
good jaw.
He's got a great job. Yeah, it's everybody will see this on the video, but of course this will come out around the time you're launching the Kickstarter as well. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna have to do much editing when it comes to that beard animation going on in there. That was
Yeah.
great.
Your beard is good.
Your beard
Your
facade
beard is
looks
good.
beautiful.
Well, right on, John. Thank you so much. Is there anywhere else
Thank you.
anybody can follow you, support your work, check you out in the meantime? We're gonna have all the links, like we said, to Jazz Cow, to the Kickstarter. But yeah, anywhere else people can go to find you and support you.
So if you search for my name, you can find me on most of the social medias.
Mhm.
And if you search for Quirky Motion, you can find my company on most of the social medias. But jazzcow.co.uk. Oh, and also, if you look on Substack, we've
Okay.
jazzcow.substack.com.
Already subscribed. I'm in there.
Heyo.
Yep, the Joystick Show will be getting that letter, so don't you
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
We'll be seeing it. But that sounds so great. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry
Yes.
I owe you an American large coffee, which is
Don't
always
worry.
way too big.
That's a venti.
That's a bet. Oh, sorry. Okay, Starbucks Pro. But yeah, no,
Hey.
we owe you that. We really appreciate your time. There's one thing we ask all of our guests before you leave. You could say it, you cannot. One of us will fill it in for you if you want. But it's just thank you for sticking it with us. Whenever you're ready.
What? Sorry. What? Thank you for
Oh,
sticking.
Richard. Yeah. Did I? Let's do. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Thank you for sticking with us because we are the Joystick Show. Thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect. Right on.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us today, and it was great to meet you. You're hilarious.
It's a pleasure.
The Joystick Show.